In December of 1900, the Flannan Isles were already the kind of place people avoided. They sat like dark teeth in the North Atlantic, 20 miles off the coast of Scotland. No trees grew there. No one lived there. Just seabirds, wind, and cliffs that dropped so sharply into the water they made your stomach tighten. The lighthouse on Allen Moor, the largest of the islands, was brand new, operational for less than a year. It was a beacon of order in a place that had none built to keep ships from smashing themselves against the rocks. 3 men were assigned to keep it running: James Ducat, the veteran head keeper; Thomas Marshall, the younger, educated assistant; and Donald MacArthur, the strong but moody relief keeper. They were isolated for weeks, sometimes months, with only each other and the relentless C4 company. On December 10th, a supply ship was scheduled to arrive, but passing ships had already noticed something was wrong. The lighthouse beam was out. Night after night, the light that was supposed to guide them was dark. Bad weather delayed the supply vessel, the Hess, until December 26th. When Captain James Harvey finally reached the island, an eerie silence greeted him. No flag was raised to welcome the ship. No one came to meet them at the landing. Harvey blew the ship's horn. Nothing. A landing party was sent ashore. One of the sailors later said the island just felt wrong, as if life had been interrupted mid-motion. The lighthouse door was closed, but unlocked. Inside, there were no signs of a struggle, but the kitchen told a quiet, unsettling story. A meal sat on the table. A chair was pushed back, as if someone had just stood up from it. The clock on the wall had stopped. In the sleeping quarters, the beds were unmade. One detail, however, stood out more than any other. 2 sets of oilskins, the heavy-duty waterproof gear essential for going outside, were missing. But the 3rd set, belonging to Donald MacArthur, was still hanging on its hook. Why would a man who knew the ferocity of the Atlantic go out into a storm without his protective gear? It was unthinkable. Outside, the mystery deepened. The western landing, built over 100 feet above sea level, was severely damaged. Iron railings were bent out of shape. A supply box that weighed over a ton had been ripped from its concrete base and thrown across the rocks. It was as if a colossal force had swept over the cliff. The official explanation was a rogue wave, a freakishly large wave, generated by a storm, must have crashed over the island and swept all 3 men into the sea. It was a plausible theory, but it didn't quite fit. Lighthouse procedures strictly stated that 1 man must remain inside at all times, no matter what. Why would all 3 experienced keepers break this fundamental rule? And then there were the logbooks. The last official entry was dated December 15th, but earlier entries were bizarre. On December 12th, Thomas Marshall wrote of a severe storm with winds he had never seen before. Yet, other weather stations in the area reported calm seas that day. On December 13th, he noted that the normally stoic MacArthur had been crying. The final strange entry, from December 14th, read, "Storm ended. Sea calm/God is over all." Again, no storms were recorded anywhere in the region on those dates. The investigation concluded with the rogue wave theory, and the case was officially closed. But for sailors and lighthouse families, the story never sat right. Storms don't explain the phantom weather in the logbook. Another reported hearing disembodied voices carried on the wind during storms. The island, it seemed, had a reputation long before the lighthouse was ever built. Local folklore from the mainland called it a thin place, the spot where the veil between our world and another is weak. Shepherds who once grazed sheep there refused to stay overnight. Ancient accounts spoke of the Watchers, though who or what they were was never explained. In 1971, a maintenance worker named Alan Fraser spent a single night alone on the island while upgrading its systems. He later said he heard a rhythmic knocking coming from inside the stone walls. It wasn't the wind. It was a pattern. 3 knocks. A pause. 3 knocks again. When he shouted, it stopped. The next morning, he found the kitchen table set with cups and chairs, even though he knew he had left everything packed away. He requested an immediate transfer. Modern science can offer explanations for much of this. The stress of extreme isolation can cause hallucinations. Fear and suggestion are powerful forces. But one fact remains that defies easy answers. When the crew of the Hesperus went to relight the lamp after the keepers vanished, they found it in perfect working order. There was no mechanical failure, no damage, nothing that would have required the men to venture outside in an emergency. So, they had no practical reason to leave the safety of the lighthouse. And yet, they did. All three of them. Sometime between December 14th and 15th, 1900, on an island where storms were recorded that never happened, three experienced men walked out of the lighthouse and into history, leaving behind an uneaten meal and a mystery that endures to this day. The light was built to warn of dangers from the sea, but perhaps the real danger was never in the water at all. Thank you for watching. If you find stories like this as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more dives into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries.